Good evening, everyone. It's 5:32, so we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. All the board members are present. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, audience. First, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the flag. Thank you. The next thing we will do is approve the agenda. Superintendent, do we have any changes?
Board President Bozay, no changes this evening.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have approved the agenda. Next, we will introduce the interpreter. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board President Bozay, and with us tonight is Deputy Superintendent Romero.
Para asistencia de traducción en español, el señor Lucero te ayudará.
Next on the agenda is public forum. Mr. Donarski?
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. There are 2 people signed up for public forum comment tonight. Ground rules for public forum. Public forum includes online and/or virtual participation as needed, as well as in-person comments when the board holds in-person meetings. Please listen and speak with respect. No uncivil conduct will be permitted. Please do not discuss any specific student who is not your own. There will be no sharing of time. Self-monitor and observe the 3-minute time limit. I will give you a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. Public commentary and dialogue are allowed only during the public forum, not throughout the meeting. Please search for answers on common ground. You may speak on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not. Your input will be taken into consideration. Please be advised that the board may discuss your issue during the meeting, but by law, the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda. Please do not discuss employee matters which may result in disciplinary action. Instead, notify the employee supervisor, the Human Resources Department, or the superintendent. The first public forum comment was someone that requested to present live at the board meeting today. Is Aurelia Valenti here? Okay, so I will move on. And her comment was just requesting to speak live at the meeting. The next and final public forum comment is from Jill St. Thomas. And I should have had this up before. I apologize. Dear Board, I have copied a letter sent to Principal Vincent of Santa Fe High School below. This dance is not the real problem. The real problem is the lack of focus on creating a safe, nurturing environment in our schools. As a parent of a student at Santa Fe High School, I am reaching out to you for discussion on how our schools can be transformed into nurturing communities that offer high school students a place to develop responsibility, honor, sense of place, and tradition, creativity, and balance so that they can become happy and productive adults. I don't see a big picture. I feel bad for my daughter that she has to endure the lack of community her school offers. She loves her teachers and administrators, but the policy surrounding these kids is crushing them, and it's time to start anew. Mr. Vincent, it has come to my attention that the proposed Valentine's dance was rejected because it was thought that one club should not benefit for putting on a school-wide dance. If that is indeed true, I must admit I am terribly disappointed at the reasoning. Santa Fe High School has little to no community after schools. Unless you are an athlete, there are no clubs after school, no committee meetings after school. The school hosts two dances a year, one that is open to the entire population and the other is for prom. I ask you, if kids at school together don't ever have a chance to meet, hang, interact, since there are no common area for interaction inside except the lunchroom, which most kids avoid at all costs so as to not be in a tangle of fights and altercations, it only happens online. If you find yourself wondering why kids don't want to be in school or why their attitude in school is disconnected, it may be because that there is little community offered, they disengage. When my daughter enrolled last year, I called Charlotte and offered my services for PTA, but there is no PTA. There is no committee that creates a calendar for all high school events and activities to encourage school participation and or camaraderie. There is no PTA to run fundraisers for class trips, dinners, or award benefits, scholarships, and it's obvious. More attention, in my opinion, is being shown for security hall monitoring than nurturing. Treat kids like criminals, and guess what? Treat kids like responsible young adults, and it usually provides for itself. This, of course, is my opinion, but I thought it should be shared. Who cares what club makes money on a dance? If they are willing to put in the work, they should receive the benefit for creating a community space for and with their peers that's just plain fun. Remember, fun. It's what kids should have at school while learning to be bright, responsible, curious, happy adults. Thank you, Jill St. Thomas. And that concludes email submissions for public forum.
Thank you, Mr. Donarski. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for public forum that did not sign up ahead of time? All right. Seeing no eager voices, I will pass it off to the union update. Welcome, NEA President Grace Mayer.
Good evening. I'm Grace Mayer, NEA Santa Fe President and art teacher at Milagro Middle School. Not quite sure how much of this I've presented. I may have given you sort of some of the preliminary ideas for this. So I'm not going to go through all of it because it's pretty lengthy, but these are NEA New Mexico and NEA Santa Fe legislative priorities for 2023. You can go to the. So we did have a very successful year. We can go to the next page. So some of our wins from 2022 we're trying to expand on. So 2022 was a year of great progress for New Mexico educators. NEA New Mexico was at the forefront of the movement to improve educator working conditions and address the staffing crisis that culminated in the rally at the Roundhouse for our public schools, which was attended by hundreds of educators across the state and attracted local and national media attention. Some of the major legislative and policy wins for the past year include educator wages. NEA New Mexico demanded and organized to win significant wage increases for educators across the state, in addition to a 7% across-the-board salary increase. The legislature passed much-needed increases to tier minimums for licensed teachers to $50,000, $60,000, and $70,000 for levels 1, 2, and 3. The legislature also passed a law requiring a minimum $15 per hour for all hourly workers in New Mexico schools. Healthcare. State leaders heard our concerns about the rising cost of healthcare in 2022. They passed a law capping premium increases at no more than 6%, the first in a long list of legislative and policy changes needed to protect educators from rising healthcare costs. And I'll touch back on healthcare as our main focus for this year's legislative priorities. Adequate staffing. Following calls from NEA New Mexico and educators to address the lack of livable wages for those participating in teacher residency programs, the legislature passed a bill increasing stipends from $20,000 to $35,000 per year, an important step towards gaining some new educator recruitment. Community schools. Through continuous activism for NEA New Mexico's Center for Community Schools, we won $8 million for community schools and family engagement initiatives, some in our district in Santa Fe, with an additional $15 million in family index funds, income index funds for interventions for underserved students. We also won $10 million to expand career and technical education and fund additional community-based learning opportunities. Great public schools. The legislature and governor has demonstrated their commitment to providing a high-quality education to every New Mexican student by increasing annual spending on K-12 public education by $425 million in fiscal year 2023 to $3.87 billion total, a 12% boost. Early childhood education. Nearly $335 million in surplus dollars from 2021 will flow to Early Childhood Trust Fund, effectively doubling the fund set up to finance the Early Childhood Development and Care Department launched only a year ago. We can go to the next page. So our priorities for this year will expand on some of our wins, and I'll just go through a few. This happens to be Sue Holland, who is our Educator of the Year. She works in Raton. Planning time. At a minimum, double the amount of planning time for educators. Ensure that educators' planning time is uninterrupted and self-directed. Prioritize collaborative professional learning over external experts who may not understand the unique challenges faced by educators in New Mexico. Revise the state equalization guarantee funding formula to allocate unit value for increased planning time. Class size and adequate staffing. Statutorily prohibited blanket class size waivers and obfuscating, having trouble talking today, class size averaging loopholes like those that take into consideration specials teachers or elective teachers as part of the ratio for student-teacher ratios. We're trying to minimize that, create a reporting portal of enforcement mechanism by which breaches of statutory class size limits can be reported and addressed. Fortunately, in Santa Fe, as we have had I think probably one of the only districts that's really held up to our minimums in class size within our contract and hasn't gone out to the PED for class size waivers, but instead created MOUs to increase compensation to folks who go a couple of students over in particular classes. It's very difficult to do when we have many schools with varying populations of 100 to 900. It's hard. Kids don't just come in, a class of 22, first graders all in a little package. So we have to make sure that our employees are getting compensated for additional work that they're doing with additional students. So I want to I'm talking about these issues. Some of them apply directly to us in particular as a district. Others more statewide. Districts are having issues about these waivers. But we've been pretty fortunate that the union and the district and the board has understood that that's a priority for our district, is to keep our class sizes small. So we've stayed within those parameters. That doesn't mean that we don't need smaller class sizes, especially in pre-K and kindergarten. And we're hoping to present some bills that might lower those numbers to 18 instead of 20. And maybe less than 2 in every other grade level in elementary. And then also for middle and high school, reducing some of those sizes of classes to 24 or 27, like in science, as well as what we currently have in math. And English in ninth grade is a cap at 27, but that's not the case for all subjects, and especially in electives as well. So we're hoping to maybe figure out how we can reduce those class sizes and have it impact our district specifically in those ways. Educator retention, pass a 5%, this is our goal for this year, 5% across the board wage increase for all educators. Value and retain all experienced teachers, including teachers, ancillary staff, and paraprofessionals by offering compensation commensurate with their years of experience. And our district, again, has led the way in having some step increases. Granted, they're minimal for all you guys that are out there and know our pay tables. But there's some districts who literally put $1 in every step. So, you know, you can be here for 10 years or 20 and you'll have, very little increase in those steps. So at least we're able to sort of put, $50 here and $100 in some of the steps. So later on in the pay table for our more experienced level 2 and level 3 individuals, we've bargained that, which is basically not the money that comes from, in the formula through the SEG to make the increases. That the district is literally picking that up. So, it may be a difference of, $1,500 or $3,000 for some folks, but that's literally coming from bargaining with the district, saying we need to appreciate these experienced workers and we need to pay them more. And so, so again, there is a lot that we do well in Santa Fe, but we've made, I think, an effort to push the money out to our employees in different ways where other districts have not, and that's why we don't have such a large cash balance, which I can appreciate as someone who needs to go to our membership and say, well, this is where we are with some of this, and the reality is in different parts of the state, it's even less. So we do what we can to advocate for higher wages all across the board. And some of our, bus drivers who make $19 an hour, some of our EBAs who make $16.50 have been there for, well, not quite that high for years, but EBAs have been there for years. And so that $15 that has affected other districts just this year, we've been trying to get there with some of our staff, but a lot of our staff has already been there or higher. And granted, it's not enough to live on, but at least we acknowledge that that work is valuable work that we need to, reward with an appropriate salary. Certainly, we can't live off those salaries in Santa Fe, but we're trying every way we can to figure out ways to recruit employees to our district through our early childcare center for employees, and hopefully with building some workforce housing that we're really excited that we're trying to figure out how that'll move forward and get the legislature to fund through capital outlay funds $15 million to start building our, is it 15 or 14, did you ask for? 14? To build 40 units, so for all our educators and our employees, and we'll hopefully be, celebrating that win in a month and a half. Not sure, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to move forward a little bit to the healthcare page. Okay, so NEA New Mexico continues to fight for the right of every American to access affordable, high-quality health care through a universal single-payer health care system. In the meantime, we call on our legislator to ensure that educators as state employees and frontline workers who put their health on the line to serve their communities can afford health care for themselves and their families by requiring districts to pay a minimum of 80% health care insurance premiums per paycheck to an employee maximum payment of 20%. So this was our 80-20 campaign, which you guys endorsed and supported and put out a resolution. But it turns out that our governor is interested in funding some of our insurance premiums by 100% for a single payer, up to $10,000. She's put aside $100 million to possibly, fund that in the budget already. We're hoping that our legislature can pass that. The amounts will be a little different for a family plan. So we're waiting for those bills to drop and to see what that discussion is. But anytime you want to call up your legislators and representatives and say, yes, educators deserve 100% their health care coverage, that means more money for you and your family to spend on the expenses that we all know we have, which include the high price of everything, including housing. So we really need you guys to really push, and those of you who are the families of educators, to really push this so it really moves and happens. There's some naysayers right now, but I don't think that a state can really tell us they don't have the resources when we have $3.2 billion. So I think we can handle it. And I think we deserve it. Okay, and then just want to touch on community schools. We can go to that. Oh, did we pass extended learning? We'll go back to that. So most New Mexico schools and classrooms are not set up to ensure educators can meet the needs of students and families. Many communities are struggling from historic marginalization. Families often feel disconnected from our educational system, and many of our students do not have their basic needs met and are struggling with mental and physical health issues. Community schools are a vehicle for change that offers an opportunity for educators to get what they need for their classrooms. We need sustainable, recurring funding to make community school strategy accessible to all schools in our state and a core and permanent part of how our schools operate. The community school strategy is a research-based strategy for mitigating the educational disadvantages associated with poverty and for improving students' attendance, behavior, and achievement by making schools the hub of community resources. Community schools are built with 4 pillars: integrated health and social supports, expanded learning time and opportunity, strong family and community engagement, and collaborative leadership and practice. These pillars are planned and managed by a full-time site-based community school coordinator who identifies the needs and assets in the school community and collaborates with the school leadership team, community partners, students, educators, and families to bring about grassroots changes. When well implemented and fully funded, community schools have been shown to lead to improvement in student and school outcomes and contribute to meeting the educational needs of low-achieving students in high-poverty schools. A cost-benefit study conducted in community schools in Albuquerque found that $7.11 million return on investment for every $1 spent on the cost of community school coordinators. Similar studies in other states have found returns on investments as high as $15 for every $1 invested in community schools, demonstrating the strategy not only works, but it's also cost-effective than many other interventions. While our state has come some way towards supporting the community school strategy, efforts thus far have been sort of lacking and a little inappropriate. But our community school effort kind of started in an act in 2013, which first gave official recognition to the strategy in New Mexico. The act was updated in 2019 to appoint a New Mexico Coalition for Community Schools and provided $2 million in grant funding to be administered through the Public Education Department. Funding for this competitive grant has increased ever since to $8 million in early 2022. However, this still falls short of what the amount needed to ensure that all schools with students whose needs are not being met can implement the strategy. In addition, the legislature has not allocated any funding to ensure the sustainability of the community school coordinators. So right now we get grants, and then there are 3 years grants, and they fund these coordinators, but then the district has to pick up the the coordinator's salary if they want to continue those programs, which we're trying to figure out how to extend our coordinators that we currently have beyond these preliminary grant funds. So it's, I've seen it in action at Santa Fe High and at Milagro. Cesar Chavez is probably our oldest community school with a lot of activity from and participation from the community being brought in through a coordinator. And those folks are essential to not only getting the resources that kids need, those everyday things that, you know, food, clothes, those kinds of things, but also enrichment opportunities and other activities that include parent involvement, which is something that we know that our schools need desperately. And to have evenings where, you know, dinners are served and families can come in and learn about, you know, what their students are doing in that community, or open houses where it's more than an open house, it's really an opportunity for students to excel in front of their parents and show them the progress they're making as a student. That really encourages students to, you know, sort of take in their education and really feel responsible for doing well. So it's not just, you know, the pantry that's open to get food, and it's not, you know, the gift cards that, you know, will maybe give parents an opportunity to buy some gas and make sure they're going to appointments or other things. But it's about a real sense of community and trying to understand, you know, how to motivate kids to really take on their education and excel. And also for parents to feel welcome in that environment, because oftentimes a lot of parents don't have, you know, great experiences to look back on when they went to school. And so for those marginalized communities, we really need to start inviting them in to, you know, to our community schools and to all our schools and say, okay, we value you, your opinion, and we want to help you raise your child in the best way that we think we can help you do that and educate them. So I will then just go to extended learning time just briefly, because we have a bill, House Bill 130, it's going to be in the Education Committee tomorrow, which will expand the hours for our, well, for all of education, so in the state, which NEA New Mexico and NEA Santa Fe's position on that has been clear that although we recognize the importance of closing opportunity gaps, especially those stemming from summer learning loss and now pandemic learning loss, that disproportionately impacts ethnic minority students and those from low-income backgrounds, keeping them at a disadvantage compared to their peers. While extended learning time can undeniably have benefits for students, all ELT is not made equal. Research on the benefits of increasing or extending school days or school years is mixed, because approaches to ELT vary across states and districts. When ELT is poorly implemented and does not respond to the needs or wants of the students, families, and educators, its potential benefits can easily be undermined by its cost. So while longer days and school years and other extended time, I think I read that. Okay, so the biggest thing that I want to just emphasize is that as a community, we should be making these local decisions about an extended calendar or extended programs and what those are, based on the needs assessments that we do in community schools, but also that we do in all schools, what families want, what the students are engaged in. They should be enrichment as well as other opportunities to improve grade level literacy or math rates or things like that. And I think this district, again, has really, with our innovative programming that we did this summer, really leading the way on how to implement programming that's engaging for students and families, with our newcomer program that we had this summer, but also other camps and other things that were free to our students, our enrolled students, and many community partners participated in. And I remember that you guys got an update on that. But forcing a one-size-fits-all model to extended learning may not be in our best interest. And we all know for the last few years, we've asked our community to weigh in on surveys about extended learning. And we've gotten some resounding information. Last year, 80% of our families and staff said that they were not interested in extending the school year. That's pretty resounding information. We might not have that option, that it's optional at this point, because if the law gets changed and the minutes get expanded, it will impact most of our elementary schools at this point, more than secondary, in terms of the length of the day or the length of the year. But we're hoping that we have flexibility in that, and that we stand, firmly in the position that it should be up to the local community and the school board and the families of the community to figure out those extended programs if we choose to participate, and how we build those programs up. Because we should direct monies towards needs, and we can't do that if we're told that everybody has to do the same amount of time, the same amount of, seat time, and all this other sort of conversations about what expanded learning means for the state and what achievements that we think we'll gain. But these are a lot of our priorities, and I know I talked a lot. We are going to have a rally primarily on healthcare, making sure we get that 100% or at least 80-20 on February 20th, which is a Monday, from 12 to 2 down at the Roundhouse. Welcome to bring your families and help support educators and students of Santa Fe Public Schools. So with that, I don't know if you have any more questions, or I could end.
Thank you very much, President Grace-Mayer.
Okay, thanks.
Next is board announcements and follow-up. Any board members have any announcements they would like to make? All right, seeing none, we will move along to the superintendent announcements and follow-up. Superintendent Chavez.
Thank you, Board President Bozane. I have a little note here with all of your new positions, so I don't forget. And again, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. We're going to celebrate you this evening, and really want to say thank you. It's a great turnout. The board was asking, why do we have so many people here? And I said, well, it's to really acknowledge them and present them with a certificate and a T-shirt of becoming National Board Certified or renewed. So let's get to it. Yeah. So Santa Fe Public Schools currently has about 60 National Board Certified educators, and this evening Santa Fe Public School is recognizing and celebrating the new and renewed National Board Certified Santa Fe Public School staff who achieved in the academic 2019-20, and if you remember, that's the COVID year, to our current academic year. National Board certification is a rigorous process which requires submission of portfolios with evidence of student engagement and learning, in addition to a computer-based assessment of the chosen certification area. National Board certification is the most respected professional certification available in education and provides numerous benefits to teachers, students, and schools. It was designed to develop, retain, and recognize accomplished teachers and to generate ongoing improvement in schools nationwide. Before I turn it over to Mr. Donarski, also through negotiations, they receive a stipend for being National Board Certified. So again, just one of those collaborations between the district and the union. So at this time, I do want to welcome back our PIO, Mr. Cody Donarski, who will read the names of the educators who were not able to make it tonight.
Thank you, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. Those who completed their National Board certification in the 1920 school year: Ms. Sherry Cross from Carlos Gilbert, Andrea Felix from Wood Gormley, Penny T. Graham from Atalaya, Jill Hutchinson Bass from Aspen, and Elizabeth Mayer from Wood Gormley. Those who can, yep. Those who completed in the year 2020-2021 are Angelina Duran from Pinon, Daisy Padilla from Desert Sage, Kathleen Thompson Nakamura from El Dorado, and Shona C. Stack, who is a nurse at Carlos Gilbert. Those who completed the National Board Certification in 2020 are Angela Abate, Brooke Turnquist from El Dorado. Angela Abate is from Chaparral, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Claire Noonan from Santa Fe High School. Kate McCarthy from Carlos Gilbert. Lori Getz from El Dorado. Malcolm Smith Carlisle from Amy Beal. Nina Bunker from Santa Fe High School. David Forrester from Mandela International Magnet School. Gary Bass from Chaparral, Jennifer Bakovich from Capitol High School, and lastly, Lori Brown from Academy for Technology and Classics.
Thank you, Mr. Donarski. Now, I'd like to recognize all of those educators who are in attendance tonight. So when you hear your name, please come forward. You will receive your certificate, a gift. Please stay standing so at the conclusion we can all take a picture with you and celebrate your accomplishments. First on the list is Elizabeth Lopez from Ramirez Thomas. Nadine, I guess she wants to go by Nadine, Porterfield Gurale from Nino Otero. Eric Braden, Capitol High School. Renewed Holly Lynn Call, Mandela International Magnet School. And new Jonathan Burgess, Capitol High School. And new Naomi Garcia Ramirez Thomas. New Wendy Dove El Dorado. New Zelda Sanchez Atalaya. Camille Reyes, nurse from Ramirez Thomas. Renewed Brandon Goodall, Capitol High School. Renewed Brenda Dominguez, Nino Otero. Renewed Brenda Pretty, Aspen. Renewed, and one of our principals, Brittany Behenna Griffith, Nye. Renewed Cheryl Farrar, Atalaya. Renewed Michelle Armijo, Pinon. Renewed Richard Pittman, Santa Fe High School. Renewed Ronnie Rohr, El Dorado. And last but not least, Tamelia Rutan, Capitol. And if the board members want to go down there and take a picture, we can take a picture so we can post on our social media accounts. Again, want to say congratulations and thank you for being here in attendance. A few more announcements. We have out-of-state travel coming up.
If I can,
Oh,
before,
sure.
just, this is a big deal. And thank you all for your work, and thank you for being a part of this team in the Santa Fe Public Schools. National Board Certification really is a high standard, and you're all there, and it's amazing, and we are lucky to have you. Thank you for your work.
Good. Yep. All right, out-of-state travels. Our Santa Fe High School band will be traveling to the Disney Music Festival in Anaheim, California, on March 16th through the 23rd. So we want to wish them luck and congratulate them. A little update on the calendar, the upcoming school calendar for 23-24. With the session currently underway, and we heard President Mayer talk about one of the bills, there is a second bill that's being discussed on extending the school year or the instructional hours. So we feel it's premature to release a calendar until the session concludes. However, we will be trying to identify a return date for staff and students so we can allow proper timing for families, students, and staff for summer. So we figure if we can identify a start date, that will alleviate all the questions that we all receive about releasing the academic calendar. So we do feel that it's prudent to wait until the session concludes to complete the calendar. Okay? And the governor to sign the bill, correct. We have been contacted and asked if we're going to continue with our summer programming that President Mayer mentioned. We are. We will have more information coming out to our community partners, to our schools. We will continue to push forward this summer with many summer programs that we had offered and many new ones. Again, as a reminder, we had 33 summer programs last year. We had over 2,600 students participate, which was about 21% of our enrollment, all on a voluntary basis. So again, we will be moving forward and more information to come. Reminder about movie night tomorrow night, Santa Fe Public Schools. Movie night will be tomorrow at El Camino Real Academy. The movie starts at 6:30. Showing will be Onward, a Disney Pixar film about two teenage elf brothers embarking on a quest to discover a little magic. The school is located at 2500 South Meadows Road. Come early to visit Santa Fe Public School staff, community booths, enjoy a hot dog, and get your face painted before the movie starts. Doors open at 5:30, movie starts at 6:30, and we want to thank the Santa Fe Police Department and the city and county fire departments for joining us. And we were notified 4 of our Santa Fe Public Schools digital learning coaches have had a proposal accepted to participate in STEAM Day at the legislature on Thursday, February 16th, from 7:30 to 2 p.m. We want to congratulate them, support them, so if you can get out there, please do so. President Bozay, that does conclude my updates.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Chavez. Next, we have our presentation.
Thank you, Board President Noble. I knew I was going
I'm
to mess
sorry.
up.
I
I knew it.
I should ask if there are any questions on the superintendent's updates.
I almost said Secretary Bozay, that's a long time ago. President Bozay, Superintendent, members of the board, I may have missed it. When did you say that you think that we'll have a projected start date for the school year?
We're working that as we speak.
Okay.
We're making sure that, again, we're aware of the bills that are being proposed and the instructional hours, but we do think it's wise to at least identify a return date for staff and students.
Okay.
We can work the calendar from that point forward.
Okay.
Once that bill's signed, as Board Member Gonzalez mentioned, but we think it would help planning for families and staff and students if we can identify a start date.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is absolutely correct. I think people are just trying to figure out their summer plans. All right, great. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for the superintendent? All right. Thank you. Now we can move on to our presentation.
Thank you, Board President Bozay, members of the board. With us tonight is the Llano Foundation, and Jenny Parks, President and CEO. And I have a list of names on here, Ms. Parks, but I'll let you introduce your team if it's only one.
great.
I think I had 5 on this list.
Two.
So
We got two.
There you
we
go.
got two, so thank you. President Bose and Superintendent Chavez, board members, Assistant Superintendent Romero, thank you for having us today. I'm Jenny Parks, President and CEO of the Lanel Foundation, and this is Mike Dabrio, who's our Education Enrichment Director, and Paul LeFrancois, who is our Program Assistant for K-12, our K-12 work. So thank you for having us. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I don't have to do that, okay. We are here today to just tell you a little bit about the Lanel Foundation and how we have been partnering with you all really for 25 years. This is our 25th anniversary this year, and we're proud to be partners with Santa Fe Public Schools. You're one of our largest districts that we serve. Oh, fantastic. I have a clicker. Yay. Okay, so here are our goals for the evening: to share who we are and what we do, to celebrate our current partnerships, and to see if there's future potential partnerships that we could do together. Do you want to join me right here? Okay. So I'm not going to read through this. I think we only have about 10 minutes, so I'm going to go pretty quickly. But we really want to see all New Mexicans have the skills and confidence to be self-sufficient lifelong learners who are engaged in their communities. And we do that through a variety of ways, but we always have a commitment to serving and promoting racial and social equity in all of our programs and our grant making. We are a regional foundation. We serve families in 7 counties with 18 pueblos, tribes, and nations as a part of those counties. We also try to have statewide influence. We're a very unusual foundation. We were founded by Los Alamos National Laboratory, the Los Alamos Public Schools, our congressional delegation, and we were set up as a separate 501c3 public charity outside of the labs, so we are not associated with the labs, even though we share a name. And we do a whole lot of things. We obviously give out grants, but we also run programs. We have a large scholarship program. We do research, really community-based research, trying to get voices from the field to hear how certain things are impacting them that may happen in the legislative session or may happen at the school board, but how is it really impacting the kids and the teachers? We do advocacy, and we are always in partnership. I'm going to skip through that, our theory of change, but early childhood education, all of our work is really either through advocacy, education, or collaboration. We do a lot of work with the tribes around home visiting and language and cultural preservation. We have Grandparents and Kin Raising Children Council. This is in Rio Arriba County. There's a large number of kids who don't live with either one of their parents, and we're trying to provide support for those families that are raising those children. We have early childhood collaboratives in Rio Arriba County. We have a home visiting collaborative for statewide home visitors, and we also give out grants for our early childhood work. This is one of our home visiting families from the Navajo Nation. This young woman had a child actually when she was in high school, and she was receiving home visiting. She had this beautiful little girl, Lily, and through the home visitor, the mother got excited about possibly going into medical care, and she went on to UNM and got a nursing degree. And now Lily's a little bit older than that, but she's so cute, we have to always have her in there. K-12 programming, I'll let you talk a lot about that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Madam President, Superintendent, members of the board. Thank you for having us. So our K-12 programming, I just want to emphasize it's very serendipitous that we're here tonight because one of the big pieces that we do actually is National Board Certified Teacher Support. So we actually have, for the teachers that were here today, we supported through providing a one-on-one coach as they went through that process. And we're actually currently supporting 11 teachers from Santa Fe Public Schools to attain a national board. So hopefully those folks will be up here in the next year or so. Within that, we're also advocating this year for the legislature to expand the salary differential to include those educators who may have either moved on from teaching and are in leadership, so principals, superintendents, they would still be eligible for that, and also to include counselors and those folks who are currently excluded from that in the current the current legislation. Our K-12 programming, I just want to say we're really here for the same thing you are. We just want the best opportunities for our kiddos, and that's what we're striving for, and we want to do that in partnership with you. We do that through a few different ways: research, action pieces, celebrating different forms of excellence within our communities. We do have research reports. Our most recent one was about social emotional learning, and an example of the community participatory community research that Jenny was talking about is we talked to, I believe, over 400 teachers and got survey results from them about how SEL lives within their classrooms. And from that, we're able to make recommendations on where we need to, actions that need to be taken to move forward within our region. That's all available on our website. One of the biggest ways that we support folks in our region is our Inquiry Science Education Consortium, which we're a partner with Santa Fe Public Schools. Right now, in Santa Fe Public Schools, we support 250 ISEC teachers. That's teachers K through 6 that are trained within this science curriculum to be inquiry-based, hands-on learning opportunities, with more than 5,000 students within your district served, approximately. And that's about annually, that's right around $500,000 a year of services that are provided, because all of that is, we provide that cost. We are shifting within ISEC in the coming years. We're looking to figure out how we can diversify those funding sources, reaching out to districts, reaching out to other external partners to figure out how we can make this a more sustainable effort. This has been going on for 15 years, and we know that there's been changes within education. NGSS has passed. We want to be supportive of that, but we also want to reflect that there needs to be community involvement within that as well. So this Tuesday, actually, we'll be meeting with our we have a principal and school leadership advisory committee, and we'll be meeting with them to discuss some different opportunities within that.
Oh, and this is Jan. Getting really excited about doing her science class. This is I think this is at El Camino Real, actually. It's one of the classrooms here in Santa Fe. Okay, grants. We are really trying to move towards trust-based philanthropy, which really means these 4 things: being more collaborative with our grantees, as well as really trying to hear what their needs are and hand over to them some of the responsibilities, not being such a heavy-handed funder, really trusting them that they're the experts in their field, and we're moving in that direction. We have been able to give quite a few grants to Santa Fe Public Schools. So last year, we gave out grants to the Santa Fe Public School Parent Academy for newcomers and cultural support, the Partners in Ed Foundation for the Santa Fe Public Schools, the Santa Fe Public Schools Attendance Cafe Outreach. Those were our smaller grants. And then we had larger education enrichment grants, which went to the College and Career Plaza, El Camino Real Academy, that was for college and career?
Yes.
Then the In Comunidad Collective are looking at bilingual literacy. And then the Santa Fe Public Schools Departments of Native American Student Services. And then many more who work alongside in the Santa Fe Public Schools, like Cooking with Kids and Communities in Schools. So we're working on this coming cycle. We have 2 cycles, and we encourage the Santa Fe Public Schools to apply. The smaller grants are only for $5,000. Those are not, public schools are not eligible for those, but you are eligible for the $50,000 grants, which will be $25,000 a year for 2 years. And those applications launch February 9th, and we're having some information sessions on that. So if there's any interest by any of the people in this room or any of your teachers, they can go to our website, and there will be information about the information sessions to help people guide them through the process. Our oldest program, which is actually, so we turned 25 last year, and then this program on scholarships is turning 25 this year. It started in '99, and since then we've given out over $10 million to 2,000 students. All of this money has come from donors. So every year we run a campaign up at the lab, employee giving campaign, and the vast majority of the money comes from them and goes to the students. We also get funding from lab management, and then we have a campaign outside of the lab as well that raises a small amount of that money. These scholarships are given to students in all 7 counties. And in Santa Fe, this year we had 27 Santa Fe Public School students awarded scholarships totaling $203,000. And Capitol High alone were awarded $97,000 in scholarships. And then we have some special scholarships with Anchorham St. Vincent around the Capitol High School medical pathways, and also students receiving support from communities and schools. And we work really closely with College and Career Plaza to promote the scholarship and support students through the application process. So the main one is a 4-year undergraduate scholarship. I think you all know our students are brilliant. To see the kids that apply for these scholarships, it always gives me great hope for New Mexico, kids that overcome a lot of challenges and still make their way. So we also provide support through internship programs for our scholars. There's ambassador programs at UNM, NMSU, and Santa Fe Community College to try to create kind of a community for students there. And then we connect kids with mentors in fields that they're interested in. Here's one of our students. This young woman is a bronze scholarship winner in 2022. And is a beautiful young woman who is wanting to be a nurse, and so she received the nursing scholarship. Our latest area of work that we've added most recently, which was 2.5 years ago, is our college, community, and career pathways work, and we've been very fortunate to get to partner with Santa Fe Public Schools and Superintendent and Jose Villarreal on the Level Up program. That program worked with hoteliers here in Santa Fe and connected students who were interested in learning more about the hotel business over the summer. And they're now making that a statewide program, so you guys really kind of set the way on that. And the Department of Workforce Solutions has funding for hotels all over the state, so that's a very exciting program. We have a lot of different programs in this area. They do a lot of different things, working both at a systems level to try to change the systems to make things easier for our kids to have access to career and college opportunity, but also on a programmatic level, like the Level Up program, to give kids opportunities now. And one of the programs that we're actually working on right now is a medical pathways program, and we've learned a lot from the Capitol High School medical pathways program. We're doing it in Espanola with Presbyterian, Northern New Mexico College, and Espanola High School up there. So again, you guys kind of set the way, and they're copying you. And doing these kids will come out of high school and they'll have college hours, and they'll have a certification in either phlebotomy or medical assistance, and they can get jobs right out of college. So these are some of the different ways we focus on the work. Like I said, it's sort of a systems way and also a programmatic way. Again, we've done some research with our C3P programming. We're working actually on high school redesign. We have a partnership with the Public Education Department and Future Focused Education, doing New Mexico Innovation Zones. We're down at the legislature right now advocating for $40 million. That was the LESC recommendation for innovation zones, work-based learning, and CTE. If that happens, then those innovation zones will get expanded, and there'll be another application round to apply to be a part of that. And you all, I really hope you would apply, because you're already well on the way with the work that Jose Villarreal is doing with you all.
May I add something real quick?
Yes.
Just so you guys are aware, we did apply last year for one of these grants, innovation grants, and we were denied. So I just, because Jenny and I spoke about this at our golf tournament, which, by the way, is April 15th. But we did talk about that. They really did. I thought we should have received a grant, because I think we've been innovative, but we were not awarded the grant. So hopefully the expansion of this and the award increase allows us to apply and become one of the awardees.
Right. Yeah, and I just want to add to that, it's PED who chose them. We would have chosen you for sure.
You're correct. Yes, sorry for that. Yes, it wasn't
okay.
you.
But there's a big education conference, Future Focus Education is putting on February 9th and 10th. And if you're interested in the possibility of the Innovation Zone, it would be great for someone for the district to go. Maybe Jose can go to represent the district there, because they're going to be talking about how to apply again and when it gets expanded. So just wanted you to know about that. Okay, we tried to do that in 10 minutes or less. I'm not sure if we made it, but Are there any questions for us?
President Bozay. Oh, thank you. Did I get that right? Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you and for all the work that you're doing. And I also wanted to just say you went through all of that work so efficiently and effectively. I don't know how many minutes it was, but I feel like I just learned so much about what you're doing. I think before this, I knew about science kits, and I knew that you did a lot of wonderful work in the community, but to see all of this in front of us and all of the different areas and how much you're focused on equity was really wonderful. So I hope that the partnership can grow. I look forward to hearing from the superintendent about updates about how this relationship moves forward. So thank you so much for all the work you do and for that excellent presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I didn't mention that we did just finish a new 3-year strategic plan, and we are making some shifts. And one of those shifts is we're looking more at climate science instead of talking about STEAM so much. It's how are we preparing our kids for the changing climate that we have here in New Mexico. And so that's something we're really interested in digging deeper into and seeing how we can provide some help with that. Anything
Board Member
else?
Noble?
Thank you. I just want to echo Vice President Anderson's sentiments. I know a lot about what you do and appreciate it in my day-to-day world, but I also learned a lot, and there's a lot of information in there. So thank you, and
Thank you.
thanks for all the great work.
Thank you, Member Noble. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
Okay.
I also, okay, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, too. I know a lot about what goes on at Lannell
sure
and
do.
meeting with you, but I really do appreciate this presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We also have annual reports. Can we hand them out to you? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having us, and thanks for your partnership. You guys are really doing such great work here. We see it. It's inspirational. We're talking to a lot of boards, and you can tell a lot about a school district by their board, and you all are really doing remarkable work, so thank you for your work. Oh, we also have 2 kids in Santa Fe Public Schools, so we would complain. We would be here to complain if we were not happy. His son is at Mandela, and my son is at Santa Fe High School. They're both juniors, so next year will be our support group for when they graduate. All right,
Thank you all for such a wonderful presentation and the support that you give to our schools and our students and the staff. It's just phenomenal. And for asking those important questions about, how can we take this and apply it to solving real world problems? That's so important. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. We're moving along to our action items. Is there anything that anyone would like to discuss in the consent agenda separately? All right.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez.
I'll second.
Thank you. Board Member Noble. We have a motion and a second. Let's vote on the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or otherwise? All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Next, we have board discussion and possible action. Yes, Dr. Gonzalez?
I should have announced this earlier at the board announcements, but I'd like to make an announcement. Tomorrow night from 5 to 7, Art Smart is having a gallery of student work at the Santa Fe Community Gallery. So I think it'd be wonderful for everybody to attend.
Thank you.
Did you say 5 to 7?
Yes, 5 to 7.
Perfect, 5 to 7 there.
And then go to the movie.
The movies, and then you can go to Capitol to watch Santa Fe High versus Capitol. Girls basketball. Long night for some of us.
Shall I take the reimagining item?
Yes, please.
So by way of a quick update, I think there has been some good movement on the reimagining work. Dr. Garcia and the team she's put together have been really sort of burning the midnight oil and putting in the hours on this. They did a survey, which 4 of us took. So apparently one board member did not take the survey. And I think there were, Superintendent, I don't know if you remember, but more than 400 respondents in total. It was 700.
Yep.
Okay, more than 700 respondents in total, Dr. Garcia produced a multitude of slides analyzing the survey data, which was somewhat interesting, also somewhat all over the map. So and she really worked hard in the analysis, in looking at the N size of each, how many people answered each particular, with a sound methodology of drawing out themes that drew more than 10% of any particular category of folks who responded. I'm sure that work would be available to you if you all wanted to dig in. And we met in January and ultimately have arrived at some important things that I do want to update you on. One is really the thinking that in the spirit of the transparency that we want this initiative to have always, all the time. We're talking about a sort of not doing one big reveal at the end of a plan, but more of a brick-by-brick scenario where different recommendations may come forward from the steering committee throughout the year. I would imagine that the pace will pick up mid to late year, just as some of these recommendations get baked and worked on. And to that end, there are more groups, subgroups, subcommittees, action teams, whatever we want to call them. The first one was on communications, really how to keep the process transparent and actively communicate, sort of think processes around public schools, and there's a natural tendency to be more reactive if there's a threat. And so the communications committee is really considering how to be proactive and communicate and engage folks. I know Dr. Garcia has reached out, I think, to each of you to do sort of distinct pieces of work and help think that through. If you need the steering committee, if you want to present and get ideas from that, if you want to form a subcommittee in all that you're doing, I think all of that needs to flow readily between any work that's being done. So it's a very organic process, holistic even, Sarah, President Bozé, somebody quoted you. And it's really, it's a good word for how this is working. But we are starting to see how this massive amount of work and input can get done with key subcommittees, with this idea that brick by brick recommendations will come forward. And yeah, so, we move, that was the January meeting. Superintendent, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think you've covered it. I also just want to recognize the steering committee for all their work, your leadership, as well as Dr. Garcia's, the board as well. I just really commend everybody that's on that steering committee, because they're really donating their time. They're volunteering. And so it's very valuable without being compensated. The meetings are every third Thursday during the middle of the day. So some of them work. So I just want to, go on record and thanking the steering committee and thanking all of you guys as well.
Yes, good point. And, we've all probably had already a little bit of a wild start to the year, a busy January, and the steering committee folks who serve there are no exception, and they're making it work and making room for even more good thinking subcommittee work and digging in. And some great conversations, really great conversations, chewing over hard issues. Dr. Garcia is bringing a lot of structure and data. I'm asking for 20 minutes on each agenda to go free form with the steering committee so we can be yin and yang together in the room. And Superintendent, just to say out loud to you, and so the board's aware, I know you're tracking it, but Dr. Garcia needs to hire more people. We need a little more horsepower, and she's got a great team, and she knows this. But I hope that because we want to really keep up the momentum and keep this going, and we're all going to be busy, and there's going to be lots of other demands, but we have the opportunity, as we've talked about many times, to do something different and better. So I think that's all. If anyone has any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them, but it really felt a good kickoff to the year at the meeting in January. The other thing I would say is it is the third Thursday of every month, starting at 11 a.m. And if there were 3 of us there, we'd need to notice the meeting as, in essence, a meeting of the school board, because there is district business. But if anybody wants to come, and even if 2 of you wanted to come, I'm happy to duck out as well. So, if that's, again, starts feeling like it's useful for your work, or even you just want to get briefed on how that's working in the room, please consider joining us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to note that Dr. Garcia spoke with the CRC last week and did those same survey questions with the members of the CRC to hear their feedback on what's working, what's not, what's standing in the way, where do we want to go. And
She
I thought
had
that
data on that the next day at the meeting.
Of course she did. And, oh gosh, was I supposed to fill that survey out again online? Because I gave her all my answers verbally, so if I messed up our 100%, I apologize. Okay. So is there anyone else that, yes?
Thank you, President Bose. I had a couple of things, and then I also have a question for Board Member Noble. Is it possible to get that presentation from Dr. Garcia? Do you think that'd be okay?
Superintendent's the key to that, but yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, and President Bose asked the same question.
Okay.
So
I think we would all love to see that,
Yeah,
those
that would be
slides,
great.
please.
There's only 70 or 74 of them.
In our spare time.
And there's 2 or 3, if I remember correctly, on each page, so.
Great. Can't wait. I truly can't wait. That sounded sarcastic, but I can't wait. And then my next question is, if we wanted to attend one of the steering committee, this is just a housekeeping question, but if we wanted to attend one of the meetings, should we go through you or superintendent?
Why not put us both on an email? But
Okay.
I would say the superintendent is probably the safer bet. This is his full-time job.
I forgot about CC. That's a thing. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then I had just a couple of comments. Do we know where we are with the study session with the CRC? Did I miss? I may have missed something. Or have we talked about that yet?
I'm trying to remember your position, so I have to look at my notes. Vice President Anderson, members of the board, that's still being discussed. We're talking with CRC to identify a time to have that joint study session. We know everybody is really stretched at this point, some more than others, but we'll definitely get that on the agenda at some point very soon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I wanted to just make a note. I probably should have brought it up during any President Mayor's presentation, but this is something that the superintendent and the cabinet, I'm sure, already know. But it was something that I recently looked into and just wanted to share with my fellow board members and with the thousands of people who are currently watching our YouTube channel. But I've been thinking a lot about, and I know we've talked priority for a lot of people, and I know that what we're looking for mostly is a level of flexibility from the PED so that we can use that time for SEL, professional development, a number of things which all make a lot of sense to me. But I did a little digging into the numbers surrounding achievement that increases with extended learning time. And when you look at it on the surface, it looks great, right? Like people are increasing multiple standard deviations on average over year to year over test scores, which is amazing. But what most of these studies look at are averages. And there was an excellent study that was published by Brookings, which I put a lot of faith in, that actually looked at the quantiles that actually looked at the various, groups of achievement to see what their, how much they were achieving. And I was frankly really shocked. I knew there would be differences. I knew there would be an increasing of the achievement gap, but what they found was that the I shouldn't say bottom, but the 10th percentile was increasing at a standard deviation lower than the 90th percentile. There was an entire standard deviation between the achievement increase between these two groups of kids. And so I think it's really important, and as we move forward and hearing that this bill is going before the legislature tomorrow, I think it's really important that the state, our legislators, the PED keep in mind that increasing learning time without a really concrete strategy of how that gets implemented is only going to increase our achievement gap. The kids who are doing really well will continue to do really well, and they'll do even better with more increased learning time. But kids who are struggling to get to school, kids who are struggling to get a meal, they're not going to increase at the same rate. And so we're just going to have this widening achievement gap, and it's going to be something that we're going to need another solution to implement. And I really don't want to see that happen. So I hope that the folks who are making these decisions at the state level will take this into account rather than looking just at averages. And should we end up with extended learning time, which I think is not a foregone conclusion, but I think it's pretty likely that we'll end up with extended learning time. I have trust in the superintendent and the cabinet, but would just ask that there's we've talked about this, I know that you're looking at this, but would just ask that there's a real focus on ensuring that we have equitable gains across our student population. And I'm happy to share the article with the superintendent, who can share it with the board members if they're interested.
Thank you very much, Vice President Anderson. Those are great points.
If I may on that?
Yes.
There may also be some sensible policies we could look at around this, which, you're doing great work so far. Because it may not be a foregone conclusion, but it does seem likely that there will be something, and appreciate all of the thought, Superintendent, that you've been giving to even just when we talk about the calendar, because that's always a big question, but thinking about policies and approaches that might help set the frame for exactly what you describe, ensuring that there is greater equity and intention to do extended learning time well, I think would be wonderful for this board to talk about.
Yes, Dr. Gonzalez.
Madam President, members of the board, yeah, I agree, and I think that this bill is much more flexible, and it allows districts, because we're all different, and we can't just say everybody do this. So it's going to allow every district. So it's going to be up to us to create what it is that we want our students to be doing. So we got to think about it a lot.
Yes, Superintendent Chavez.
Thank you, President Bozay. Just to add on a couple of pieces, we've been really talking about that as well, right? We've been really talking about, and I hope the free meals bill, if you want to call it that, passes, because you mentioned something about, students being hungry. Sometimes this is the most nutritious meal they receive, breakfast and lunch. So if we can really take the cost out of play, it would be wonderful. I also think the attendance piece, right, has to be addressed and at least acknowledge that if students are not in school, they're not learning. And if they're not learning, we cannot assess the deficiencies to really help them grow academically. Really think the work around standards-based instruction really provides that transparency piece and also guarantees grade level instruction on standards that are provided to us. So, I think we're on the right track. I hope there is flexibility in that plan, because it is up to, the board to really discuss whether or not, we need to implement a new calendar, what the day looks like. We can always have those discussions, but, again, I really do hope that flexibility in the proposed bill continues to remain.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything on board discussion and possible action? Superintendent, you did have
Yeah,
message
if
for
you don't,
us?
yeah, I can just give a brief update. We had an audit meeting, and I did speak to the chair of the audit, and I did ask her, and I'll reach out to you guys individually if she wants to brief you guys individually or in pairs, just to have a little more in-depth discussion. So I did reach out to her and said I would put her in contact with each one of you guys to schedule a meeting.
Thank you very much. That sounds wonderful. My piece here is to remind all of us that we have a special meeting on Saturday for the superintendent's evaluation. You should all have received or will be receiving tonight the evaluation form. It's the same form we used last year, so that's familiar to 4 of us, but will be new to Mr. Abeta, Secretary Abeta. Please review that, be familiar with it, think about what you want to talk about. You don't have to fill it out ahead of time. We want to have that discussion in person. Board Member Noble, is there anything that you would like to add? You're sort of the evaluation expert, I think.
Thank you. Yeah. So it is a special meeting with an executive session, which, just to be clear, we do have to come in, open the meeting, and then go into executive session, and then come out and close it. And thinking through how that works is and if we want to, I guess, have we published an agenda? I haven't seen it. Anyway, is there a contract action item on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So we can come out and take action on the contract. We also don't have to. And, you know, that, of course, is up to us as with any action item. The superintendent provided us with his self-evaluation, which is a change we made a couple of years ago to streamline things, and also recognizing that the superintendent is the real expert. This is his full-time job. And so it would be great if we can all read that before Saturday morning. And then I believe our board counsel, Tony Ortiz, is going to be with us
Correct.
to help us with the process, document the evaluation. We do, of course, owe the superintendent a good, robust evaluation. Also, it's not really the one time of year that we get to direct him as a group. We get to do that almost every Thursday night. But it's a focus time, obviously, to think about what we want his priorities to be and how we can, do what any supervisor does well for someone they're working with. So I think that, I guess I would say, is the most important part, is just to think about what the priorities that we might want to highlight for him should be for this next year, assuming that that's the way we want to go. Anyway, and hopefully it can be a little bit streamlined. It can also be a marathon. And I don't know what happened because I failed to give my lunch order, but
Tomorrow, by noon, give your lunch order to Alma, please.
So we need to give our lunch orders because we'll probably need sustenance at some point, hopefully with, brain power, and we won't need to go into dinner time, but I think that's all.
Hope you all like tacos, because that's what I picked. Yes, Vice
For the
President
record,
Anderson.
no.
No?
That is not my thing.
Well,
But, thank
There's
you. If
burritos.
I get desperate enough for sugar, I'm sure I'll be appreciative of it anyway. Anyway, I think that's about all.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
President Bose, thank you so much. President Bose, Superintendent, and members of the board. I can ask this on Saturday, but I thought, why not ask it now? So in terms of the contract, we had given a contract last year for a set number of years, for 2 years, right? And it hasn't been 2 years. So when we're re-upping that contract, do we have the option to then offer a new contract? Is that what we'll be doing?
I think we want to discuss that with Mr. Ortiz,
Okay.
who's the real
Thanks.
expert
Okay.
on that. But ultimately, we can largely chart our own course. We can choose what we want to do. It's up to us.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to think about it before we.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're in the meeting. Thank you.
Any other questions about the superintendent evaluation?
I will be ordering chicken tacos with guacamole, just in case you were wondering.
Me too. All right. Any other board discussion and possible action? Okay, on to advanced planning. Superintendent, do we have any changes to make to what we see on our agenda?
Board President Bozay, no changes to advanced planning that I can see.
Okay, so again, that special meeting on Saturday with executive session for the superintendent evaluation. And then audit committee, and our next meeting will be here in 2 weeks on February 9th. Do we know if we need an executive session yet or not?
We'll talk about that as it nears.
Okay.
At this point, no, but there are some items, that we may want to talk at exec at some point.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.